We're live. Live in the garage. So here we are. We got their Mustang. Oh, you want to turn that down? So we've gotten our motor back from the machine shop, and I do have a video where we're going to be dropping the motor in, but as you can see, it's already in. So we've just been working on trying to get everything hooked up and all the vacuum lines and all that fun stuff. It's a lot to get hooked up. Right now I've been kind of working on the wiring harness, trying to get it all tucked in neat. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to route some of the wiring harness like through the fender and get it out of the engine bay, do what they call a wire tuck. Because I've definitely got some stuff that I could run through there and pop back out that, you know, it kind of declutter the engine bay. I want it to kind of be neat. I mean, it's not going to be like a show car. I'm not slicking out the inside with panels and all that stuff. I did try to cover most of the wiring harness with this like braided stuff where it looks kind of cool. So I still have a little bit. I've got the dash harness, the end of it that comes out here that I haven't beautified yet. And then I've got the very end of the engine harness that I still need to do. But I didn't want to do this stuff until I figure out what I'm going to route, possibly through the fender wall, through the fender. So we've got our coil back on. I got to get this solenoid back on. We've got our, this is a mass air car, so it really doesn't utilize this. Well, I mean, I guess it does, but you don't have to have a vacuum hooked up to it and stuff. I need to get that grounded there. But I got all the vacuum lines hooked up, I hope. I saw where some people are doing like a smoke test where they make these little smoke canisters and blow smoke in there and find out if they've got any kind of vacuum leaks. So once everything's done, we may do that just for kicks and giggles to see if we've got it sealed up good. I hadn't put the distributor in yet, done all that. I have gone ahead and put the oil filter and the oil in and all that, so we'll probably prime everything before we put the distributor in, when we're getting closer to ready for first start. Man, that's exciting. First time you crank it up, man, I can't wait for that moment. The fella that helped me rebuild the engine, the fella he had the machine shop down in Byhalia, Mr. Howard, he's going to, whenever I get ready, I think he's going to come up here and hang out with me, and then when I start it for the first time, help me get it all primed up and stuff. It'll be fun. He did bored it out. He had to put a sleeve in it. So this is a 306 now. And then we got a cam. It's not like a crazy cam, but it's a cam from Bullet Racing. So it ought to have a nice chop to it. And man, I've been chasing down exhaust parts. Man, here I gotta show you this. Take you off the stand here. I started off just grabbing a couple of little exhaust parts here and there, you know, like I'd grab me an X-pipe. I was like, man, that's a good deal at the flea market, a little X-pipe. I'd grab me a couple of Flowmasters, a little dent, but hey, I think it'd have been fine. And then I had grabbed me some shorty headers, which are right there. Well, I ended up buying some more exhaust stuff. So now I got this whole H-pipe system, mid-pipe. I've actually got 2 sets of long tube the other set was rusty, so we've taken it down to Byhalia, and it's going to soak in the tank, get the rust off of it. I may end up using them because they actually fit. They made up to this. And then I've got 10 pieces with chrome tips, and they've got some Flowmasters on them, but they're kind of short, stubby Flowmasters. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on with those, if they're going to be cooler sounding than the bigger ones. You know, I've got so many choices right now. I mean, X pipe, H pipe, long tube, short tube. I really could mix up if I wanted to go see figure out what I think is going to sound the best, really. James McPherson, what's going on, man? Down there in the great state of Mississippi. There's Spanky. What's up, Spanky? Good to see y'all. Just hanging out in the garage, man. It's a nice night. And it's one of them have the door open nights. It's a little windy, but man, the temperature's perfect. Man, it's a good night to be in the garage, hanging out. That's the reason I decided to go live. So, here, let's check this stuff out. I posted a short on all this earlier today. Get my little box of Tinker Toys here. My man Quincy, I got a buddy Quincy, and he had some hot rod stuff he was working on, and you know how it is, projects sometimes don't get finished up and they end up leaving, you know. Well, this was some leftover stuff that he had planned for his project. Here, let me spin you. Man, some braided fuel line. Nylon braided fuel line. With a whole box of the AN fittings. You got 180s, 90s, 45 straights. So got the whole assortment. Even got the stuff to go in the vise to hold it where you don't mar up all your pretty anodized fittings. Little connector there where you can run them neatly. Well, and I ordered some more stuff. So in here, dang, I should open this. I got these little trinkets here. So what those are, basically the connections, those push connections that I've got from my fuel lines. So I think I'm going to take those off and swap the AN right there, the braided fuel line. I'm going to come down, and instead of this, I think I'm going to put me a gauge or whatever, a little fuel pressure gauge somewhere in there. And of course this is going away. And then it connects down here. That's metal. So I've got the olive AN connections for the 1/4 and the 5/16, where I can start my braided down here and run it up and connect right there. And like I say, I'm going to try to put me a gauge in line too. I think that might be pretty cool. I mean, that little Schrader valve. So, I mean, that's got to be the only purpose for the Schrader valve, right? Is if you want to hook up to it and see what your fuel pressure is, right? I mean, that's not a bleed or it's really just for checking pressure. Somebody tell me if that's right or wrong, but I'm like, why have the valve there? Why not just have a gauge? So anyway, I don't know if that's a good thought process. A lot of times my thought processes aren't necessarily accurate, but that's how we learn. Man, all these little fittings and stuff, that's a whole new world of mess to get into. Dude, I mean, there's so many fittings and adapters. It's worse than the plumbing aisle at Home Depot. I don't know if it's worse than that. That stuff's so scattered and mixed up. You can't ever find what you want. If you need two of them, good luck. All right, but that's probably gonna happen here pretty soon. I'm gonna get that figured out. The only thing I'm missing is however I'm gonna do the gauge. I got to get the gauge and get that part figured out, and then I'll get them fuel lines hooked up. So we've got our starter in. I still got to get my battery box and everything back in. Matter of fact, there's the wires down there. We got to get our headlight harness kind of tied back in, because it actually ties in underneath the battery box. And that's another part of my decision I got to make, because sometimes people don't run it that way. They'll run it through the fender, cleaning up the engine bay. So I got to decide if I'm doing all that or not. Part of me just wants to clean up the harness, put it back in, throw the battery box back on top of it, and go on. Like I say, it's not a show car, but I get all carried away and want to, tuck wires and make things look neat and tidy. The motor, man, I'm tickled with how the motor turned out. That blue with the black, happy with that. So once I get the harness back in, get all that hooked up, shoot, it'll be time to get this thing timed and get some spark plugs in it, and give it a crank. The inside still has a ways to go. Basically, we just got our liner. I've got the dash all ready to put together. I've had it together, but I took it apart. I was messing around with the speedometer cable. I think I may end up swapping the speedometer cable by the time it's all said and done. But yeah, I just gotta get me. I think we're going to try to see if we can't find us some racing seats. I've got the old, the basic LX kind of seat, that's just a headrest, but I want something a little sportier. Got the carpet that was in here. We'll probably go ahead and put the carpet in and then put some kind of a race seat in. I think we're going to do a rear seat delete. I don't believe we're going to do a rear seat. I may just make me a something out of like the MDF and just cover it with some carpet. So, and the outside. So on the outside, well, you can kind of see where this car is being red. It's been orange before it was red, and then somebody's painted this matte black on there. So I'm kind of wanting to do like a faux patina, not really a patina, not rust, but I think what I want to do is sand the car down and get it flat. I think I want to spray a red on it, and then I think I want to come back with the flat black, and then I think I want to go around and rub all the edges and make that red come back through on the edges, kind of give it an aged look. And I think I got the name for the car. My son looked down there at the car one night. There was a spider web, and he's like, "Is that a Black Widow?" I looked down there, and sure enough, there was a Black Widow up underneath the car. And of course, we took care of it. But I think that might be a good name for this one, the Black Widow. But that'd be cool with that black and that red theme. I don't know. Daydreaming, man. We did get our sway bar installed. This car didn't have sway bars, but we got the sway bar in and our linkage there. So man, it's coming together. We got our I got a rear sway bar right over there I got to get put in. And of course we got our bumper and our fog light bar. And we got a new 3-core radiator and a a dual fan setup with aluminum shroud that we're going to be putting in. So once I kind of get all this tidied up, and I know I'm not going to need to enjoy this easy access, you know, I'll go ahead and get the radiator set up. There's some wiring and stuff that we got to do with that, because you know that radiator comes with its own little thermostat and relays and whatnots and all that. So I'll have to figure out how all that's supposed to be routed. I don't think it's going to be too bad. Now it's time to do it. But shoot, man, we may be driving this thing here in a few months. I hope. Hell, I've only had it for 2 years. Man, you get into these project cars thinking, oh, it won't take long, and man, it's just one thing after another. And of course, I'm that guy that, you know, if I'm in there, well, I might as well do this. I might as well do that. So I end up doing way more than what I probably should. But at the same time, man, I'm going to end up damn near touching every nut and bolt and everything on this car. Man, I've done the wiring. I put wiring in it. Rebuilt the motor now. I've been in the transmission, not deep in the transmission, but I've been in the transmission. Haven't been in the rear end yet. But, you know, that's coming. We'll work our way to the back, and we'll get into the rear end. And then I got to go through all the brakes. And then we're going to have to get us some tires that are not, you know, 30 years old. So, man, I'm going to have way more money in this than what I probably should have put into it. Man, it's that nostalgia, though, got me tore up because, man, I had 2 of these Mustangs growing up. And I just want to feel that fox body again. This one's not going to be like the ones I had, though. It's going to have a little more kick to it. That 306 with that cam, I'm figuring we're going to be in the 3s somewhere on the horsepower. So, I don't know. It'll be fun if we get it running good and take it to one of these places around that's got a dyno or something. That'd be cool to do sometimes. I think I checked with the place here in town that does dyno stuff. It's like $200 and something to do a dyno test. But anyway, what have y'all been working on? Still got a few folks in here. Y'all got any projects you got going on in your garage? We did have the Sea-Doo boat out here, but we winterized it yesterday and got it out of the driveway. There were other Sea-Doos in the backyard, next to the Sea-Doo graveyard. I got a little Sea-Doo graveyard in the back where I got a couple of parked skis. One ski could turn into a project ski. I'd have to track down some carburetors for it, but anyway. Well, that's about what's going on in my garage. I just thought I'd get on here for a little while, kind of get everybody caught up on the Mustang a little bit. Like I say, I'll be dropping a video on the experience of planting the motor back in after we brought it home and getting the transmission in. The transmission was fun. I had a bent clutch fork, so it wasn't disengaging the clutch. Therefore, I couldn't get the transmission like mated up. And you don't want to take the bolts and just pull the transmission in. You'll ruin your clutch and your pilot bearing. And so you want to make sure that the transmission just slides in on its own. So I had to fight that. I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I finally figured out that my clutch fork was bent. So the travel on the cable wasn't enough to disengage the clutch. Spanky, I see, you know you guys have a few projects around. I know you do. Spanky got a garage full of stuff. Always working on something. About to be the season to be in the garage working on stuff. Get everything ready for spring. I'm hoping to go for a ride in a Fox body in spring. I'm gonna get my Van Halen queued up, my Guns N' Roses, and I'm gonna be ready to go for a cruise. At least that's the plan. Maybe I'll be able to make it to Foxcast event in Jackson. That'd be pretty cool. Well, looks like our crowd in here has dwindled a little bit, so I'm gonna go ahead and sign out right here. But anyway, thanks for coming and hanging out in the garage a few minutes and seeing what's going on. It's good to hang out and talk to some of y'all. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.